Welcome to Comm Week 2021. We'd like to welcome you all and present Dr. Blackwell with opening words for today's presentation.
Hey everyone, I believe we're on the air now. I'm Dr. Blackwell, a faculty member of the communication program at Prairie. I'm also one of the program coordinators for communication. And I just want to welcome everyone to Comm Week 2021. We are doing things a little bit differently this year. As you can see, this is our first time in a virtual format. And so there will inevitably be some hiccups along the way, but we're hopeful and optimistic about what we have in store both today and for the remainder of the week. Just to give you a quick heads up about how the week will work, the website KPVU-TV.org is the place to go if you're an audience member wanting to view these sessions. You can go to that website, click on Comm Week, and you'll be able to see each session as well as the agenda for the week. You can also find us at the YouTube channel for PVAMU-TV as well. Our theme for this year is The World is Yours. And so each session throughout the week plays on that theme in some way. And the purpose of Comm Week is for professional development. So we want to be able to give you opportunities to hear, career advice, to be exposed to new opportunities, to hear about things that you can do as a comm major, or just as a student who's curious about communication in some way. And I want to make a quick plug for the end of the week, because on Thursday of this week, we're going to have a virtual career fair that will be taking place. It's the one session you can't get from the PVAMU-TV website. You actually have to register on Handshake. So that link is circulating around the email list, the GroupMe, several places. If you need access to it, just send me an email at drblackwell@pvamu.edu, and I will send you the way to get registered for the career fair. So today we are in the middle of our very first session for the Comm Week program. It's the first of two sessions that are scheduled for today. The session is called A Different World, a conversation with recent alumni. So our three panelists are all former students of mine. They're all people who made a strong impression on me while they were here, and I'm really excited to have them as guests today. First, we have India Foster from the class of 2017. India Foster has always been a media maven. While attending PV, she was able to hone her skills as the editor-in-chief of the newspaper and to host her own show on PVU Radio. While on campus, she was the ultimate hustler, able to interview a number of celebrities, including MC Lyte, David Banner, James Harden, and more. And her postgraduate journey has taken her from iHeartMedia Dallas to Radio 1 Baltimore. And currently she's at Reach Media as a digital producer for the Ricky Smiley Morning Show. Today we also have Lamaya Harville from the class of 2019. Lamaya is a Minnesota girl turned PVAMU alumna. At PV is where she began to find her purpose. After 3 major changes and some soul searching, she discovered her passion for storytelling and the voices of the community. She dove headfirst into the world of media and became the very first intern for Iconic Television in Houston. She's also interned at KRIV Fox 26 Houston. And after graduating, she landed her first job as a multimedia journalist for ABC7 KVII in Amarillo, Texas. And finally, we have Jada Davis from the class of 2020. Jada is a first-year graduate student working toward her MS in Public Relations at Boston University. While earning her BA here at PV, she participated in the Division I bowling team. She held the PR and marketing manager positions at PVAMU-TV, And in the summer, she interned at a number of places, including Rochelle McCullough, LLC, and GM Financial. At GM Financial, she became passionate about diversity and inclusion and employer branding, which is her focus as a graduate student. This summer, she'll be interning as a project manager at Adobe and working to help improve their brand and their diversity and inclusion initiatives. And moderating our panel today is Ms. Zanaria Bowens, who is a senior who majors in communication and minors in sociology. So at this time, I will turn things over to Zanaria.
Thank you, Mr. Blackwell, for that great introduction. Isn't this such a great way to wrap up the end of March where we celebrate women? So I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank Prairie View A&M University and the entire Comm department, as well as you ladies, Jada Davis, India Foster, and Lamaya Harvell. Thank you so much for being here. So we had some difficulties in the past where we dealt with Wi-Fi issues, we dealt with transitioning to where everything is online, and we made it. So it's great to know that we made it. And in the past, like Mr. Blackwell said, we had Comm Week, and now it's being transitioned to where everything is via online, and now we are using Yardstream. With that being said, we have had to transition in the way that we celebrate homecoming. So homecoming once was an event where everybody gathered and we were face to face, and now we have moved to a time where everything was online. So shout out to the whole communications department. Our last homecoming was virtual, and we did that on YouTube. And we managed to speak to faculty, staff, alumni, and still have fun and gather and have a good time. With that being said, I want to thank the communications department again. I want to thank members of Prairie View A&M University, my peers, and let's get it going. Thank you for everybody being here, and let's get started. We are in the space where we are gathered and we have time to connect with ladies like you and ask questions about what it takes to get to your careers when you once sat in these very same seats that I sit in today. So the questions that I have for you, I will go around the room asking these general questions, and then after general questions, I want to have some specific questions for each of you ladies, and maybe you can help me as well as other Comm students answer these questions and move forward in reaching their career and my career as well. So first question, how was your experience at PVAMU as an undergrad? And I would like to start with Jada Davis because she recently graduated.
Hi. So experience at Prairie View. It was really fun most of the time, but I do think I had a really unique experience as a student athlete. Really, really busy and lots of structure to my life, so I didn't get to go to a lot of parties. But everyone finds a way to fit it on in. So I definitely miss like going out and seeing people. The Comm department was always there for me. Actually, when I came to Prairie View, I actually started at North Carolina A&T and transferred here my sophomore year. And I was on the social media team, still trying to figure out what my major was going to be. And once I was thrown in the Comm, I felt right at home, and I really just enjoyed and networked a lot and found what I ultimately want to do.
Thank you so much, Jada. We actually had some classes together, so it was nice seeing you in the class and also around the campus doing everything that you do. Now, India, how was your experience here at PVMU?
My experience was definitely like the greatest moment of my life. I had that y'all know y'all are on Twitter. I had that typical like old PV experience. So I definitely was up partying and trying to make it to class the next day. Like Jada said, like Hilliard Hall is like my home. Like I cannot wait for homecoming to come back. Like PV was everything. It's something that I cherish, I brag on. In my career, I definitely owe it to PV. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, India. Word on the street, the normal ways of celebrating homecoming is coming back. So I hope we can have fun together. The normal way,
Yes,
all
definitely
together.
coming back. Hey.
Yes, and following your experiences, did y'all participate in, or did you participate in Comm Week when you were at PV?
Yes, I loved Comm Week. Every year I loved, like, just even if they were alum or not, just hearing what people were doing. I found it, they gave really great advice, like making sure you have your own individual brand is really important, especially if you want to do PR. Or just simple things of how to start networking with someone. Just what do you say initially besides hi, of course. And don't be too pushy. It's just better to, like, have a conversation, ask them questions about what they do, and don't seem too like, so can you give me an internship? You just want to talk to the person and build some rapport. I think that was like the best advice I was given while at PV.
Okay, thank you so much. Can you tap in, talk more about building your brand and what you learned from that?
Yeah, so that brand is really, really unique to each person. So whether that's a color scheme that you want to be known by, or a certain personality, for me, I'm definitely like a really laid back, introverted person, but not really scared to speak up if I have something to say. Um, and my favorite color is actually the blue on my bed back here. So, like, if you go to my website, you'll see very calming images, blues of this shade, and just really marketing like that you speak well. If you have videos to share, build reels and make sure all that's there, really neat and clean and easy for an employer to be able to tell what you're capable of.
Thank you for sharing that. Lamaya, thank you for being here. I wanted to ask you, how was your experience at PV when you were here?
So I changed my major 3 times before I got to communications. I changed it to communications when I was a junior, which was a really brave, bold move. But I feel like overall, the experience for me, being from Minnesota, where I was a minority, I went to a school where I was in a lot of classes that were like the advanced classes, but I was the only Black girl there. And so going to a school in Texas, let alone a Black college, it felt like home. I learned so much just from my pals to people in the MSC to finally becoming a communication major, where I kind of found like what I was really good at, what I was passionate about. So overall, I would say it's priceless. My experience was definitely priceless. I don't think that I'd be a completely different person if I had went to another school, let alone a school that wasn't in the South. So it changed my life really at Prairie View. So did I answer your question, girl?
Yes, you did. And I am learning those every day. I don't know who I would be if I didn't select PV. Now, when you were at PV, did you participate in Comm Week?
So my very last year, I participated in Comm Week. I think that was because I really was trying to figure out if this is what I wanted to do. I was a late bloomer when I tried to find out what I wanted to do with my career path. So I seen Comm Week and I seen it like that around. But my very last year in college is when I went to every event. I tried to participate as much as I could because I started to really integrate myself into the department. I feel like I knew my professors more. I feel like I knew my friends and the people I was around. So the communications department, like India said, Hewlett Hart became my home. So after a couple of years really getting to know myself and figure out what I really wanted to do is when I started to participate in the communications and Comm Week.
India, all of you mentioned how Hilliard Hall became your home. What skill set did you learn, or what was most important while you were a Comm student?
I think what was most important to me was basically, I think Jada might have said it, relationship building. That's how I got everything that I got at PV. I feel like a lot of young PV Comm, I feel like y'all are doing better than some of the PV Comm students did when I was there, because like I said, that's kind of like old PV. So I feel like back then people didn't realize like you need way more than just a degree to make it in communication, especially, you know, if you want to be on TV or if you want to do entertainment, like it's way beyond just graduating. So I feel like what I really learned, especially during Comm Week, was the importance of relationship building. I think Comm Week started when I was like a sophomore. I don't even think like Comm Week was a thing until Dr. Blackwell came, honestly. So yeah, shout out to Dr. Blackwell. And I was an ambassador for, I think, like junior year and senior year. I was an ambassador during Comm Week, so I got to take the speakers from one place to the next and take them to building and talk to them. And I feel like doing that made me realize, you know, like Jada said, you can't just ask people for an internship. You can't just ask people for stuff. Like, you know, what separates you from somebody else? So just talking to people, getting to know them, you know, I feel like that's something that I definitely really learned at PV, and it helps me to this day.
Thank you. So regardless of where anyone is headed, the most important thing is to build relationships.
Absolutely. Your GPA doesn't matter once you walk out that door, because they don't want to know how good you are in class. They want to know what's your experience. And people say, well, I don't have experience. Your experience is college. You create those opportunities for yourself. You get those internships, or you start your own show, or you start a YouTube channel. That is your experience. And curating events and just being a part of your degree plan, you know, not just going to your classes and going home, because that's not what college is about, for me at least.
So Jada, prior to graduation, or I'm sorry, post-graduation, how has it been for you?
Well, I would say pretty good. I'm really grateful that, you know, the pandemic didn't stop me from doing anything I had planned to do. I mean, of course it was in a different setting. Nothing was in person, but after graduation, I was already scheduled to have an internship at Palo Alto Networks, which is a cybersecurity company, excuse me. And there, you know, it was my first time ever doing like something beginning to end in a virtual setting. Thankfully, it's a tech company, so they were really advanced and knew exactly what to do and how to onboard us. So it was a great experience doing that. And I got to meet like the chief communications officer at that company and really work heavily in diversity and inclusion there. And hopefully, I've heard that they came to Prairie View, so hopefully you guys had a chance to attend. And they have a communications internship right now. You should go apply, because African Americans aren't really present in tech. And then I moved up to Boston, so I'm in Boston now. It's very cold. I had never been to the Northeast before, starting at BU. Definitely different experience, just alone with it being a PWI. And they get billions of dollars in endowment funds every year. So it's just a different culture. A lot of people here have different life experiences. For instance, like I've never been out of the country before, and a lot of my classmates always talk about, oh, I got to go to Europe and da-da-da. And then I'm like the person who's like, I feel like an imposter. But regardless, I think I'm prepared. But if you're planning to go to grad school, a lot of the time you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't feel like I'm prepared. But the good thing is everyone else feels the exact same way, regardless of where they went to school. Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately in communications, not only is relationship building really important and working really hard to make sure that people know you for your work, but I think it's also about resilience. There's a lot of times where we fail, right? We might turn something in a minute late, or we're always trying to be ahead of the ball and on time because of what our job entails. But I think ultimately, like, even if you fail or have a little dip, you just keep going. Maybe I'm an athlete and I think about that a little bit differently, but it's true. Everyone has to keep going regardless. Time is going to keep going. and you don't really have time for mental breakdown. So you're kind of always on your toes. But I think everyone should be prepared if they do well in their classes and they gain experience, whether it's like Lamaya said, by making your own YouTube, or going in a corporate setting like I did by getting internships. I think it's just all about working really hard, and everyone should be prepared.
Yes, yes, ma'am. I have definitely heard, and I'm pretty sure you ladies have heard, fail fast. Because once we fail, then we can find ways to fix mistakes and keep going and pushing through. So, Lamaya, what was post-graduation like for you?
Oh, child, let me tell you something. It was stressful, honey. Okay, it was so stressful. I'm the type of person in college. I tell people this all the time. Once I get it, I got it, and I'm on the road. Like Lamaya was always doing something every single day. But transitioning from a world that I knew for 5 years to a world that I had no idea even if I was going to get a job afterwards was really stressful. I didn't get my first offer until 3 months after college. And I was applying to like jobs every single day, like hundreds of jobs. And I just didn't get that. I didn't get the right yes yet. And so for that 3 month span, it doesn't seem like a long time now, but when you're in it, it seems like 3 years. Like it's so stressful. I was questioning whether or not I was good enough. I was questioning whether or not this is the right plan. News directors were telling me I was too small, I was too short, I didn't have the voice, all this stuff. And so it was really stressful. On top of that, you're not in school anymore. So you don't have that community of college friends and your peers. Then you got your relationship issues. That was for me, at least. My boyfriend was going through the same thing. So we were clashing. We ended up breaking up. So on top of trying to find a job, my relationship's all messed up. And like, I feel lonely because I don't have that community anymore. So I went through that for 3 months. I got my job, moved out here. And that was another world for me. I was the only Black girl at my station. So here I am, the only Black girl again, the only outgoing person that's going to really speak, and I'm loud. And so I felt again that loneliness because I didn't have anybody to relate to. I didn't have leadership like I wanted at my job. I didn't have anything. I just was my own self, and I failed really quick. I feel like in the first week of my job. And so I wanted to quit. I was going through all this stuff. I wanted to go back to school and just be at Prairie View in my little house. But overall, the past year and a half, I've learned to be the person I needed. I had to be my own leader. I had to be my own mentor. I had to reach out to my friend Jordan Foster. We could talk to each other every single day. But I had to realize, like, you don't have what you want. You have to be that person for yourself, because now I have to open that door for whoever else comes after me. Because post-graduation is not easy, y'all. It's not easy at all. It's hard. But one thing that Prairie View teaches you is that it's a grind. You can't give up just because you feel a certain type of way. You got to get up every morning and you just got to push through. And I mean, I'm at the time now where like things happen, I have to laugh about it because I'm about to leave this market anyways and go somewhere else. And this is like the first period. Yes, boo. This is the first step to like the rest of your life. So you just gotta go. Cry about it, but girl, get up. Go talk to get therapy. Hello. I got a therapist too during all of this, but you gotta cry about it, get up the next day, because you are your biggest critic. And
Thank you, Lamaya. You are so right. You are so right. And you talked about opening that door up and being there for somebody else. So I definitely have you on my team, and we are in correspondence, and you helped me along the way. But you talked about that perfect yes, or that yes for that job. What does that mean?
Even right now, I'm applying to be a lifestyle journalist in lifestyle entertainment. And so I'm going through that PTSD is what I call it, that like hiring or applying for jobs. You're going to apply to 10 jobs, and God is going to make sure that your next step is the right step. So you're going to get those no's, but that one yes is that director or that boss or that company that believes in you, that believes in your vision, your passion, and sees what they can do for your future and what you can do for them. That is the perfect yes. And you got to make sure, though, that that's the yes, because I had got a station who was paying like the bare minimum. Girl, they told me my benefit was only a membership at the YMCA. They were not going to help me pay to go and travel there. And I contemplated about taking it because I wanted a job, but that wasn't my yes at all. And the job that I got now, I was able to create a whole different position for the morning show. I was able to integrate segments. I started my own segments. I'm like the top 2 for the social media just because they allow me to do what Lamaya does. And that was my yes. So now I'm looking for somebody else to give me some more opportunities. That's my yes. That's my next yes. I hope I answered your
Yes. Yes, ma'am, you did. You did more than just answer my question, but you showed us how we could provide a space and be ourselves in these spaces when we may or may not be accepted. Now, India, prior to you getting the job that you want and working in these internships, did you face any challenges?
Yes, there's always a challenge in media and communications. There's always a challenge. I'll talk a little bit about my post-grad experience. Well, I'll say when I was at Prairie, I did have a lot of internships. Like I interned at KBRE, the pop station in Houston. I interned at KPRC, and I swear the first week I was like, no, news is not for me. Like I couldn't do it. Like, but I mean, I stuck through it, and I feel like what I really value while interning undergrad was like I figured out what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do because I thought I wanted to be a news reporter. And that was just not it for me. I also had a mentor named Nakia Cooper. She worked for KPRC at the time. And I did a lot of things for her. So she sent me out in Houston to interview people. And that's when I figured out, like, that's kind of what I want to do. But after graduation, this was 2017, I graduated in May, and I had got a board op job overnight at the pop station in Dallas, so iHeart, and I was miserable. Like I was just like, yeah, like when I was like, oh my God, this is my yes. But I mean, I was making editor in chief, and I was making job post grad. So I was just like, is this what life is really like, And then working overnight from midnight to 6 a.m. that was horrible. Like no. So then my best friend Hannah, she went to PV as well. She was in PV Comm too. She had got a job like before graduation came for her in December. So she was like, okay, let's move to DC. Just come with me. And I was just like, okay, cool. Like I'm very like spontaneous. So I was like, okay. So I saved all my money and I moved to DC like randomly. And so she kind of like held me down. She had a full-time job and I was out in DC and Baltimore really trying to like, get a job. And I remember like we were living in a hotel for like 2 months because her job provided it. And I was just like, dang, I'm about to sign this lease for this apartment, but I don't even got a job. How am I gonna do that? So I was like, if I don't get a job by this day, I'm gonna just go back home to Dallas. And I swear I got a call that day. And so I ended up working for this company. It's like a Verizon company. And I was a live events operator for the ESPN Watch app. I was basically operating the app when you watch sports. So I got that part-time. And then I ended up going to Radio 1 Baltimore part-time as a promotions assistant. And so I don't know if y'all know anything about the DMV, but I was working in Virginia and working in Baltimore. And without traffic, that's like 60 to 70 some miles. So I'm driving 2 hours from each job because the traffic is worse than Houston. If y'all know Houston traffic, this is worse. So I was crying in my car every day, like, oh my gosh. So I ended up having to quit the Virginia job because they was like, you always late, you gotta go. So I stayed at the radio station in Baltimore for like a year and a half. And yeah, when you're in Comm, when you're in this media industry, you will realize your worth. Cause they gonna stress you out, you gonna overwork yourself, and you gonna realize real quick, is this what I really want to do? Is this really what I'm fighting for? So like when I say it's hard, it's tough, and PV taught me like, the grind. And then while I was there, I got to do a lot of stuff because, like she said, I was able to create these opportunities. I was the youngest person there, and I'm from Texas, so they like, oh, like what you trying to do? But it was so like Baltimore is so behind, like they so stuck in like the old times. It was such a struggle. And one day I'm tired of fighting. I came back to Dallas, and connection building, how I got all these jobs, it all intertwined back to coming back to PV. And I came back to Dallas. I was here for a month and got hired at Ricky Smiley. So it'll all make sense. It's tough in that moment, but it all ended up making sense later.
Thank you, India. Yes, because I'm currently in the position where I'm like, I need a job by this day. I want an apartment by this time. And I'm structuring everything out, but I know it might not happen that way. So I really appreciate you for telling us, and you too, Lamaya and Jada, for telling me how serious things can get, even being homeless. Because I even put in my mind, I said, if I have to stay in the hotel, I'm preparing that now so I can get it together. Because what we don't want to do is go back to our parents' home, but sometimes it might happen. So thank you for that. Thank you for telling us the other side of this reality of, trying to become a journalist in this field. Now, Jada, what are the biggest differences? I know you spoke on a few, but what are the biggest differences being an undergrad student and a graduate student?
Oh, reading. Reading is number one. I'm not gonna lie, I graduated with honors from Prairie View, but I didn't really read unless I absolutely have to. Like for this assignment, I might need to skip to this part of the book, and then I'll be able to, go and do what it do. But here, no, you have to read all the time, and everything. Because if you miss something, you just gotta take that L because the question will come up. So reading is definitely number one difference. Also, for instance, my program's only 3 semesters. So last semester going in, I was like, I'm a pretty good writer, in undergrad, I did really well with writing. And granted, I'm at a really prestigious school. Harvard and MIT are right across the river. So it's a very competitive atmosphere in Boston, as far as education. And I was in this writing class, and I didn't really think it was that bad. And I got a B on the assignment, but at the bottom of the page, he wrote, "Did you even try?" And so you would definitely have to have tough skin. And when I saw it, I just had to laugh because it was like, okay, if it was so bad, why'd you give me a B? You should have gave me an F if you were wondering if I tried. But, whether or not, ultimately you have to take those criticisms and really, really try to learn, because they're being hard on you because they believe in you. There's only 30 people in my program, right? So there's thousands of applicants from all over the world, probably millions, because half of the cohort is from Asia. And they believe in you. They don't want you to fail. So they're going to tell you what you did wrong as soon as they see it, and they need you to do it differently the next time. And, oh gosh, am I the only one here now? Well, I'm going to keep going.
Well, yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, I'm just going to keep going because I'm sure people are watching. But yeah, ultimately, it's important that you're not going to beat yourself up from criticism, even though it's really, really hard. And I do it sometimes. You just have to go back to really thinking about, okay, I'm here to learn. In order to learn, you can't know everything going into the learning experience. And, it's going to be hard. When they said grad school was hard, I was like, oh, things are hard, but you don't really know what hard is until you're in the program. So anyone who's thinking about grad school, please keep that in mind and, try to breathe and figure out what you can do to make yourself feel better if something goes wrong, because it's necessary.
Like Jada said, it will be okay. So Jada, do you have any tips? I know you talked about the taking writing, going to a writing class or something in that nature. What writing tips can you offer the students who may not know what the differences will be when they get to grad school? Because now we're writing 10 to 15 pages, and I know there's a huge difference in grad school.
Yeah, so in journalism, graduate students are going to keep writing 10 to 12 page papers. But if you're in PR, I feel like I'm going to sneeze again. So if that happens, just ignore that. If you're in PR like I am, they want everything very concise. So it might need to have just as much information as the 10 to 15 page paper, but it's got to be shorter. So you really have to pay attention and make sure you're saying what's necessary. And sometimes it's single space. So if it's in 2 pages, you got to make sure your formatting's right. As well as like if you're writing an MLA, it's not really going to happen anymore. Like you're going to need to learn AP and APA for research. And those are really, really crucial things to read about and constantly read, because the more you read, the better writer you'll be. Yeah, so I would say those are 3 things you could do to be prepared, which is learn APA, AP, and read a lot. And just reading expands your vocabulary. So if you read a lot, you'll know what you need to say that's important in a concise way, especially if you're going to PR. Or if you're a journalist, you need to be able to tell the story. Lamaya knows a lot about this. If you're in PR, most of the time we're pitching the story. So in order to tell the story with the right angle, when you're pitching or telling it, it's important that your vocabulary is very large so that you can make people feel what you want them to feel. So yeah, that's it. Sorry for the lecture, guys.
No, thank you so much, Jada. You heard it. She said, always elevate your diction is what I got from that. And India, reaching media, what are some ways to strengthen relationships? We did speak on this a little earlier today, but I've followed your Instagram closely, and you interview a range of individuals and celebrities. What are some ways to strengthen these relationships in these interviews while in these interviews?
Well, if you're talking about celebrities, I would definitely say like with celebrities, like I feel like it would be better in person, but like since everything's virtual right now, everything's like this. Like because I use StreamYard for work as well. So when I send a link and they come on, it's pretty much like, hey, how you doing? And okay, you ready? 3, 2, 1, and then they gotta go. So like I'm not really relationship building with the celebrities just because like a lot of times, like I feel like when I was in college and I was interviewing celebrities, it was like so much hype. But when you really get into it, and it's just your job in and out. It's like, let me get these questions in. Let me ask you, what it is, and they trying to go. So relationship building, but with Lonnie Love. Okay, so I met Lonnie Love at PV for homecoming. So when I interviewed her recently, even then, like I was like, hey, like just to try to, so she remembered me. I was like, hey, I don't know if you remember, but I interviewed you at homecoming like 2 years ago at PV. And I was like, yeah, we were in this room. And she was like, oh, yeah, how are you doing? So it was real quick, but maybe if it's a third time come up, she may remember me again. But I feel like with relationship building, just make sure you keep in contact with your professors. First of all, let me speak on that. Because look, anytime I don't got a job, I'm calling Dr. Blackwell. I'm emailing Dr. Blackwell. I'm texting Dr. Blackwell. Tears. I need help, please. I don't know if y'all don't know. If y'all know Mrs. Smith, talk to Mrs. Smith, okay? Like, but then at the same time, like when the storm goes on, I'm like, hey, like, I hope you and your family are safe. Like, you really have to like follow up with these people, even like your peers, people who are in your classes. A lot of opportunities that I got was from the upperclassmen that was older than me and some people who are next to me in the same classes. So just follow up with people, share their content on social media, hype them up in the comments, just be organic. And I feel like that's the best way to like relationship build.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Despite everything, well, not everything, but majority of things being online, like you said, build those relationships and, engage on social media. If that's what we have to do right now, let's do it all the way. And everyone, just remember that you can comment, you can like any questions that you may have. Go ahead and drop it down. We actually have one question coming in. What are some texts that you recommend to read to improve our writing? Lamaya, do you have anything for this question?
I do. I have to go get it. Can y'all hear me? I hope y'all can hear me. I think it's all
Yes, ma'am. We
but
can hear
it's
you.
it's a book called Write How You Talk. I'll text it to you, Tati.
We're losing hearing you. Do you know the author on that? I'm taking my notes as well. Like in the comments, like Tati said, be organic. That's the word. Thank you, India, for that one. And Lamaya, can you tell us?
Kinda. I'm trying to fix my connection. It keeps booting me out for some reason.
Okay, take your time. We can come back to. I definitely want to know what it is like in a normal day of reporting, because it's not normal whatsoever. But for you, Jada, PV doesn't have many of the classes or some of the classes offered at Boston. What advice do you have for comm majors who are considering a career in PR?
Well, take the one class that there is and try to get an internship where even if you're not in a PR position, go where there's a PR department, network your way to that department, meaning like vocalize what your interests are, why that you want to do it and why you want to do it, and say like, hey, do your research. If you're in a corporate setting, there's an org chart somewhere in that company. You can see what everybody in that whole company does. So if you see that someone's like PR manager or PR specialist, even like tell your supervisor like, hey, I really want to do this. You think I could like go shadow that person for a day? Or you think I could sit on their team meeting, something, and usually they'll be like, yeah, totally, you should do that. And they might give you an assignment if you show enough effort, and you can be able to start practicing and build your writing portfolio is really, really important. Also, just like follow things, subscribe to things where you can read about the profession. Like PR Week is a good like subscription where you can just see what people in the industry are doing. Yeah, like if you ever have a guest speaker in the PR class, like I brought in one from Jam Financial. Like if you have guest speakers in class, whether it's virtual or not, like try to, if you felt like this person really could teach me a lot, reach out to them either on LinkedIn, write them a personal message if it's an email or LinkedIn, like say, hey, this is what I want to do. I think it'd be great just to learn from you. You don't have to ask them to be your mentor. They might organically become that. But just talk to them and say, hey, this is what I want to do. And do you have any advice? And like, what do you do? And maybe try to think about ways you could incorporate that to what your ultimate career goal is. All of those things are just really, really important. So and PR is about relationship building. Like we have to know journalists. We have to know people at radio stations if we're trying to get a word out. So if your peers are trying to do that, make sure you're nice to them because you're going to need them eventually one day. So keep that in mind too.
Thank you so much, Jada. And again, I want to thank the entire comm department for allowing me to be in this position with you ladies, having the chance to ask these questions on behalf of my peers and faculty, staff, and being here to support. So thank you so much, ladies. Thank you, India. Thank you, Lamaya. And thank you, Jada. I really appreciate this moment. And we have about 15 minutes to keep it going. So I have some general questions that I want to ask. And if anybody has questions in the comments, feel free to ask these questions. But as we continue in our last few moments gathering, India, I want to ask you this. I said this is for everybody, but lastly, I want to ask you this. Because you talked about it a little earlier, what is the importance of being multi-talented and taking projects in different areas and having different streams of income?
Ooh, very important. When I was at TV, like Dr. Buck will know, like I just stayed busy. Like I was doing stuff at the radio station. I was doing stuff with the newspaper. I had my own YouTube channel. So like I was always open to trying new things because that's just me. I'm interested into all things media. But I know a lot of my peers at the time, they only wanted to be on TV or they only wanted to be on radio. And I feel like doing that, you miss a lot of, opportunity because you don't grow in all these areas. And what a lot of people don't realize in media and communications, the first thing you gotta know how to do is write. If you want to be on radio, you gotta write. Like that's like everybody needs to know how to write. But it's just super important because if you can't write, if you can't edit a video, if you can't shoot your own video, if you these different things, if you can't do it, then you won't get the job. Because a lot of things in 2021, especially we're in the age of digital media. Most people are a one woman show. Like with Ricky Smiley, I'm making graphics in the morning. I'm putting stuff out on Instagram in the morning. I'm tweeting. I'm writing stories. I'm editing stories from other places. I'm editing videos. I'm uploading videos. And when I was there, before COVID came, I was learning to shoot videos. So I'm doing all of these different things. And if I didn't know how to do one thing, then I wouldn't be qualified for the job. And then also with the different streams of income, as long as it's like, not a conflict of interest with your job, there's nothing wrong with, you can, like, my job told me, like, you can freelance for other places as long as, it's not a competitor with us. And then having your own thing on the side, like people always my DMs asking for consultations. So when y'all see that link drop, I'm gonna be asking for consultation fees because y'all want advice. They go stream of income right there. I feel that's the need of my DM, so I'm gonna make you one, okay? Because you will learn in media. A lot of us, especially I work for a Black company, you're getting pennies. So you gotta have multiple streams of income, especially if you want to sustain. And another thing I want to say was, you talked about how you didn't want to come to your parents' house. I came back home. Like right now I live in my parents' house and I got my dream job. Like this is what I wanted to do. So sometimes you may have to take those setbacks just to get right back up. So that's my goal right now. I'm creating multiple streams of income. I got a couple, but we're working on some more. So then I can get out and, like you said, find something else to do to make some more money. Okay. So yeah.
Thank you so much, India. And that book that Lamaya was referring to was Write Like You Talk, A Guide to Broadcast News Writing by Dept Butera. This is for everyone here with us today. When applying for jobs in the area, what are some qualifications needed or what stands out when applying for these jobs?
Like India said, knowing how to do everything. You don't want to be, for one, when you get into journalism as news, they are hiring multimedia journalists. That means you are shooting, that means you're writing, that means you're interviewing, that means you're doing stand-ups, you're doing everything on your own. And that's just how it is when you first start. I mean, eventually, for me, I don't want to be doing all of that. I want to just do one thing, but you want to know how to do everything because we don't know how long people are going to be working from home. So you need to be able to do everything where you're at. And that's something for sure. And then I think just being open to a location when you're first starting, not having a set city right off back because you want to get your foot in that door. And sometimes you got to be in the boonies like me until you can get to the big city. And so, just keep that in mind when you're applying.
I was going to say, like, especially in media, a lot of people are dying in these jobs. That's what I learned in Baltimore. Everybody at the station was old. So they're not leaving these cities, like they're not leaving their jobs. So like Lamont said, sometimes you got to go to the smaller locations just so you can make it up and like grow and hone in on your skills. So that way you can, if you want to end up back in Dallas or Houston. But these big cities, like these people been in the game for years and they not leaving. And they gonna make sure that you being young and you being multi-talented, they gonna try to. I know in my experience, I had people like praying on my downfall because I could do their job, but they 60-something years old. So, yeah, just throwing that out there.
So what? I'm sorry, I lost the question a little bit. Okay.
The question was, Jada, applying for. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I was just saying I know it's about applying to jobs, but I'm kind of like confused about what exactly you're asking.
Okay. when applying for these jobs, what stands out
Oh, okay.
on an application?
Okay, so from me standing out to them. Okay, so definitely your skills. Yeah, they're right. You have to know how to do everything all the time. But also, I think a really important skill is that you can learn fast. So it looks better if you have done tons of things. So, like as a PR person, if you've worked in an agency, that automatically gives you like a good kind of foundation for working across industries. Or if you've worked in house, like I have, like going from auto finance to cybersecurity to now creativity and software development. Like I've wanted to focus on tech for a long time because they pay the best, just so you know. But yeah, like just looking like you can fit anywhere. I've worked at a law firm, like all those skills are really paying attention to. So even if you don't have a skill section on your resume, you're going to be able to tell because of your job title. So also, like when you're interviewing, whether it's via Zoom or in person, you always want to make it seem like you can really do everything. So, yes, you can have like software skills to know how to do video, audio, editing, all that stuff, but it's really important that you can relate it back to something you already did, even if it's something really small. Because they're like, oh, like, well, yeah, that she can kind of do that because she did this. And so that makes them even more willing to be like, yeah, I really believe in her. She can do anything. So, or him, whoever you are.
I think one way to stand out is, for me, I know I always tell this story, and I feel like this is good for undergrad. When I was trying to get an internship at KBRE at the pop station, this guy who I interned for, Tyler Fry, he had tweeted like, "Oh, I'm looking for an intern, such and such and such." And I just studied his like social media because I mean, of course, I can see his Twitter or whatever. And I found out that he was from the area I'm from. I'm originally from Indiana, so he was from like the area of Indiana I'm from. And so he also had a dog. And so I tweeted him and I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to be your intern so we can share dog photos." So then when I went in for the interview, of course, he probably didn't recognize me, but I made sure, I mean, most of the time I just say I'm from Dallas, so I've been here for so long, but I made sure in the interview to be like, "Oh, hey, I'm Indiana, from Gary, Indiana." So he was like, "Oh, I'm from out there." And I was like, "Oh, really?" I already looked that up, you know? And then I was like, "Yeah, I remember you, like, you know, with the you always have to find a way to connect with people. Also, just try to make your resume stand out. I use color on mine because I'm in entertainment, so I feel like it kind of works for me, and I've always get compliments on my resume. And another thing is, since y'all are in school now, like everybody's been saying, build your own brand, build your own platform. Any job I get, I always bring up my YouTube channel, whether I'm consistent on it or not right now. Like I always bring it up, and I'll be like, you know, I did this in college, and this is how it's related to this job or that job. So yeah, creating your own opportunities definitely will help you stand out. And I feel like just being open and honest. And also just remember that even if you can't do one part of the job, they always got to train you. That's what I've been learning. If I can't do it, I'm going to say I can because they got to train you anyway. So
I want to add on to that, to just be honest, like India said, being yourself. I feel like if they want you for what you can do and who you are. So if you want to be plain Nancy, you're not going to get hired because there's 10 other plain Nancys. You want to show your personality. You want to show your energy. You want to show what only you are capable of because there's only one you in the world. So make sure that you are showing them. I was afraid to do that at first. I was afraid to be extravagant and excited with my big energy. So I kind of dumbed it down a little bit when I first started applying because I thought that's what the news people do. But once I got my job, girl, I got tired of being quiet. So I just kind of was myself, and that created more opportunities for me to kind of grow into who I am and what I do now. So.
Yes. And with this whole forum, do any of you have any takeaway comments, anything you would like to leave for future Comm students I'm looking to pursue, whether it be a news reporter position, multimedia journalist, or PR. Is there anything that y'all would like to leave before we depart today?
I'll go first. I think just give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Do not be so hard on yourself that you're putting yourself into this dark place. Understand that after graduation, it gets tough and it gets real, but you have to remember, like, there's no way that you're in this position and you've graduated college just to sit here. Like, there is definitely a light at the end of the tunnel. And just remember that. If you need to take a break from the world and fast and pray about it, do that. But just make sure that you know, like, you got it. Just have confidence. Don't give up. This is the first couple of years I'm learning is probably going to be the toughest. So just stick it through. And then, girl, when you start getting paid, don't forget about the little people. Because we here.
Thank you so much for that. We have J.L. Malone in the comments with the applauses. We have Olivia, a student, in the comments, and Tati. So thank you everyone who is in the comments. And the floor is yours, India and Jada, if y'all have any last remarks.
Okay, you can go, Jada.
Sorry. I was just gonna say, yeah, like kind of similar to what Amaya said. Definitely believe in yourself. Stay confident. Like if you ever feel like you're getting down, remind yourself about all the things that you've already done, no matter how big or how small. And yes, keep it pushing. If something don't go right, it's gonna go right the next time. And just really believe that you got this and that your destiny is coming. I think that's really, really important.
I would say the biggest thing that I want to leave y'all with is make sure y'all stay connected to these PV people, PV Comm, stay close, because I swear, like, if y'all know 4.0, DJ 4.0, if I didn't have 4.0, I wouldn't be here. Like, that's like my friend, also my sister, and my mentor. So stay close to PV Comm, stay close with your PV Comm professors. Like I said, I'm still paying loans, so they still belong to me. Okay, I'm gonna call and email every time. So just stay connected, and also build your own platform. Build your personality. How whatever your path is, build it how you see it, because you got the vision. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. It don't matter. Just tunnel vision, and like I might say, don't be too hard on yourself. Because I'm a perfectionist. I'm very hard on myself, but give yourself grace.
Can I say one thing to J.L. Malone? I had told J.L. Malone my junior year in college that I was going to have my own show. I am on the way. So J.L. Malone, if you know anybody looking for a host, tell them to call me. I have a resume and reel ready right now. Just want to put that out there.
I also want to say, like, feel free to reach out to me if there's like more questions or you want to do a one-on-one Zoom. I'm like totally open to doing that kind of stuff.
Same.
All right, that was an excellent first session. We definitely want to thank all three of our panelists for great advice, great perspectives, great stories to, I think, get us off to a really good start. We also want to thank Zanaria for being an excellent moderator to keep the conversation flowing and ask thought-provoking questions. Thank you to everybody who's out there in the audience. We appreciate the questions and the comments, and we hope that you'll continue to support us throughout the week. The link that you see on the screen now is where you can find each session Monday through Wednesday. And the Thursday is the career fair. We've got another session later today, so we hope you'll come back at 3:30 p.m. Again, hit that link at 3:30. The session is titled The World Outside Your Door, Journalism in Local Communities. So if you're thinking about journalism as a career path, one of the benefits of this session is that it won't just be about future opportunities, but also about current opportunities for people who are students right now looking for internships and that sort of thing. So we hope that you'll come back to visit us at that time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Blackwell and TDV.
Yeah, no problem.